What's up guys, welcome to What If Does Gaming, your channel for fresh arena of Valor content. After I've done a video on my top 3 choices in the current meta when it comes to taking mages, where I picked Illumia, Liliana and Tulin, and after I have making an in-depth video about the different classifications, today I want to talk on how to counter these classifications, what heroes you can pick against them, and what kind of equipment, arcana and enchantment setup might be needed for the respective classification and how to counter them. At the beginning of the video, I want to stress again the 4 different types of heroes that I have conducted to be relevant in the mid lane or the mage section, and how to deal with the individual stroke or branch of them. So we're going to talk about how to counter harass mobility heroes, pure damage heroes, CC, support heroes and poke heroes, as you can see on this screen. And then afterwards we're going to have a closer look on what kind of equipment you can build against these type of heroes. And foremost, I'm going to talk about 1 or 2 individual mages in the respective classifications in order to make things a little bit clearer. So first of all, I would say let's start at the top of this, harass mobility heroes. So these heroes are actually quite difficult to tackle because, as the indication already tells you, the guys are all about mobility. That means that they can just run through the field, have some sorts of dashes, teleportation skills and the likes, and they're actually quite difficult to grasp. So whenever you are going against some of that heroes, and especially Zill and Flash are usually played in the jungle, the most important thing about all of this, and it's not only about the mobility heroes but also the CC support heroes, the poke heroes and the damage heroes, is positioning. So it's not really something spectacular. I guess it's common sense, but your positioning, how you are going to position yourself in a team fight, but also in the laning phase behind the minions, is something that is quite crucial in order to be successful. So if you want to deal especially with mobility and harass heroes, it kind of helps to know what these heroes are actually capable of doing. So how fast and how far can Flash, for example, go? What is Flash going to do as soon as he has been running into your field? What kind of combos are those heroes going to execute, and when are they going to execute this kind of combo? So I think it goes for all of them, but for some more than the others. You can say that most of the harass mobility heroes are not going to go full combo if you are not in a critical state of health. So what these heroes will try to do is to harass you as much as possible, and then as soon as you get into the 1 combo range, which basically means they just need to apply 1 of each of their spells, so spell 1, spell 2 and the ultimate, they're still going to try to harass you, and as soon as you're going to fall below, for example, 50% of health, they are going to try to kill you with 1 consecutive combo. And this is the moment where you need to be super careful. Of course, you need to be careful at the beginning of this kind of harass gameplay. So, for example, Tulin loves to jump over minions, trying to fire his S1 into you afterwards to activate his passive and soften up the target. So what you always want to try to do is to stay away as much as possible when you see that Tulin is loading up stacks. That's just common sense, but you really need to pay attention to his stacking meter, as well as, for example, if Zill is going to throw his blades and then he's going to teleport afterwards with his S2, or he's going to use the combo vice versa, so he's trying to teleport in using his first spell. What you want to do is you want to try to get as much distance between you and him as possible, Or on the other side, depending on what kind of hero you play, you might want to retaliate, or you want to kind of get into payback mode. Because, for example, if Tulin is going to jump towards you, what you can do if you're playing Natalia, you can try to launch an S1 straight into his face while predicting where he is going to land, and then he is going to suffer tremendous amounts of damage if you hit the spell correctly. Same goes, for example, for Qixi. If Tulin is going to encounter you using his S2, trying to just like push his S1 right into your face, you're going to activate S2 immediately when he lands, and then you're going to follow up with a really nicely positioned S1 in order to get maximum damage on him. And you might even want to use your ultimate if you know that he's already been dashing around. So Harass mobility heroes really need their mobility in order to be successful and to get the best bargain for the buck. So the key to that is to stay as far away from them as possible, always keeping an eye on their combos and their stacks and their ultimate states, and then you're able to fight back if possible. A little bit more difficult is the pure damage department, because the main problem with these guys is as soon as they are getting really, really close, which they can't do immediately, they get more crucial and they get more deadly. So whenever Qixi is approaching you, trying to hit an S2, followed up by an S1, followed up by an ult, followed up by an S2, you want to try to dodge. And most of the heroes that you see here in this column, as well as the ones that I haven't put up in the roster, have Flicker as a talent. So Flicker is your bread and butter skill in order to avoid deadly stances. So whenever Qixi is closing in and you've got the feeling that she is about to approach you in one single combo hit, you want to dash out, especially over walls, so that she can't follow up quite as easily. And you always should maintain your focus on, has that hero already have been using his talent, or do you have the upper hand because your talent is still available and the opponent's talent is on cooldown? With the pure damage heroes, what you should always try to avoid is to stay in direct line to their combos or their spells in general. So you do not want to try to get hit by a Natalia S1. So positioning is key as well, but it's not about distance. It's basically about positioning yourself so you are not standing in a direct line. So if you've got minion, and you're staying right behind it, that is a really great offer that you are giving Natalia here, for example, because it just means that she's got an easy time on hitting all the minions as well as you. So you want to try to run right and left in order to avoid her spells and try to get her wasting her mana. So that's obviously something that you can execute quite well with the pure damage heroes. Try to get them low in the terms of the mana usage. It goes for all of the 5 heroes that I've listed here, but it goes for all the pure damage heroes as well. I think the most difficult part to avoid is the CC support hero, because what they can actually do quite well is to teleport in with Flicker and then just apply all their CC spells in a short duration of time, and this is going to cause tremendous havoc, and it's sometimes enough for them to kill you even if you have been on full health, because the CC on some of the heroes is just so strong that they can whittle you down, because you are actually a squishy hero as they are. So you should always wait for an option of entrance in order to just put down damage on them. So it's kind of an easy calculation. The more damage you can deal amongst a fight to any of those hero classes here in the mage section, the lower their chances are, or their willingness to get full in or to put everything on one card and try to poke you down or try to arrest you down or try to put CC spells on you. So a Diochan who has already suffered 3/4 of her health is not going to contribute to a fight in the meta that she can if she is on full health. So take, for example, Diochan. Diochan has a really straightforward combo. She's going to try to hit you with her slowing spell, and then afterwards she tries to find out which way you are going to go, which is normally straight back to the tower, and she's going to try to put these freezing templates straight in the path that you are going to fall back. So don't make the mistake to go straight back to the tower, but try to make it a little bit more difficult for her to predict your movement, and you are good to go. So don't ever move in a straight line, because it's going to make the life for these heavy CC heroes a lot easier. And when it comes to poke champions, for example, let's take Ignis. Ignis has a unique ability. When he's using his S1, he's able to shoot behind minions. So when he hits a minion, he's going to create some splash damage, and this splash damage is going to cause damage to the targets behind that kind of thing. So of course you want to avoid to stand right behind minions, because otherwise you're going to get damage. From time to time, it's not going to be many damage or crazy amounts of damage, but he's going to poke you down during the course of the game. If you're fighting Gildor, if you're fighting Ras, the only thing that you need to put between them and you is basically a minion, because every single time they use one of their spells, as soon as a minion is hit, this is the target that's going to proc the damage. So if you're standing right behind it, you have an easy game to fight against them. So all this sums up to the point that you really need to know what you are fighting against, what their basic combos are going to be, and I can only advise you, if you have a hard time struggling against one of those heroes that you see here, or one of the heroes that you see here in the section below, use that hero. Play that hero, try to find out what the combos are, and I know that some players are basically focusing on one single position, so they are mage players, they're mid laners. I don't know how that feels, because I play every single position in the game, but if you are a mid laner and you focus on the mage role, you really need to know what all the combos from the different mages that are going against you look like, and then you can try to get them, because you have the knowledge on how to deal with them, and therefore you need to know their combos, and that is going to make your life so much easier. And if you don't have the measures to find out how the different combos work, check for videos on YouTube, check my guides, check guides from other people on the internet. Combo guides, for example, are a great place to start with, because there you've got people who try to focus on how the best combo is going to look like. Sometimes they have different combos, 3 different spell combo, auto attacks in between, maximum combo and stuff like that. And you can even use the official Arena of Valor channel with the hero introduction, because this is going to help you a lot with the basic combos, and use that knowledge to your advantage to deal with the respective heroes here in the different departments. So that was basically the prep talk about all the different classifications, and the next part is going to go in the game, and we're going to have a look at different itemizations, enchantments, and arcana, and that's the next part. So let's start with that, or let's continue with that. I hope it helps. Alright, so here we are in the game, and it's basically quite easy, because most of the mage champions are going to focus on maximum damage anyways, so you don't really have that much option to customize your build. But sometimes, of course, during the fight of a game, you will have moments where you can actually adopt your equipment. So take, for example, the L'Oreal build that just popped up because I was playing L'Oreal with the Dimension Breaker skin lately. As you can see, as L'Oreal is a champion that's going to fight a lot of the battles in really close combat. She's really dependent on her ult. She's kind of a one-trick pony, so she's going to ult beforehand. She's going to soften up targets using her spells, but her bread and butter is her ult, which is actually really, really close to the enemy ranks. That means that you're going to face melee champions as well as mage champions. And therefore, as you can see, I've equipped the Gilded Greaves here for magic, defense, movement speed, and in addition, the passive is resistance. So that means that crowd control things are going to have a duration which is lowered by 35%. So if you have something that's going to take 2 seconds, the duration of the spell that's going to apply is limited by 35%, making it not really a lot less troublesome, but it's going to give you a little bit of upper hand things, and this is how you're going to counter things. If you know, for example, that you're going to fight in close distance, for example, I've taken here the Mark of the Frost in the League of the Humans enchantment tree, which is going to get me an Arctic Orb, which leads to the point where I can just press it and I'm going to be invincible for 2 seconds. I can't really do anything while this is activated, so 2 seconds means I'm invulnerable, but at the same time I can't really do anything. So no spells, no damage, nothing at all. But this is going to save me if I'm stuck in a really big team fight, and the 2 seconds are sometimes enough for your team to soften up the targets or even kill enemy heroes, and you might just have to deal with less heroes in the consecutive fights afterwards. If you have the problem that you're going to face a lot of damage in terms of incoming mage damage, you can also switch some of the equipment to the defensive ones. So for example, what you can always do, you can go to the defense mechanisms and take, for example, Medallion of Troy, because this is going to give you 200 magic defense. So the spells that enemies are going to throw at your face are less powerful, but usually some cases might be the complete opposite, but usually you want to build your mages on full damage with some utility. As you can see here, we have built Barrow's Agony as well as Tome of the Reaper to stop the healing and get some armor, because as I said, we're going to fight close combat. So Medallion of Troy isn't really an option, but if you struggle, because there's a lot of magic damage coming towards you, this might be a choice, but usually it isn't. So when talking about different equipment and different itemizations, I would say the least that you can do, for example, here in this case, we have built Devour, we've built Hex, and we've built Violate. So with Devour, we get Magic Lifesteal plus 10%. That means that whenever we hit something, we do get 10% of the damage that we dealt back. This can be helpful. Or, for example, if it's the case that I've got the feeling that every single time I have struggled to really withstand the last bit of the fight, so I'm going down at the later stages of a team fight, you can always go and switch out one of the late game items, for example, for Rhea's Blessing, because Rhea's Blessing is going to give you not only a shield, but you will have Magic Lifesteal in addition to your enchantments by 15%, so you get 25% back from the spells that you're using. And this also applies, or this already applies, if you have used the Vlad's Impaler, which is actually quite cheap on 1190 gold, so you don't have to build the full item. The passive is already here on the first upgrade, so you don't have to build it to the full item, but you are already going to profit from that, and that can actually save you some time in the team fights, because you're going to heal up quite nicely, especially for L'Oreal, for example, in her ult, where her cooldown is just reduced to a bare minimum, and she's able to dish out a lot of shots in order to not only deal with the enemies but get some life back. So this would basically be my choice. Let's say we're going to switch to Vera. Vera has a complete different setup because she wants to use her spells as much as possible. So here we go with the flashy boots, not any of the defensive items, not the enchanted kicks, but I would go for the flashy boots here in order to make her life a little bit easier. And let's take someone different. Gilder, I'm playing him as a support hero. He's going with Gilded Greaves here. He's going with the Aegis for some max mana and armor, but this is not going to help you against mages, and therefore it's not really a good example, but it just shows you how different the itemization of the different heroes can look like. So that was my guide on the different counters to mages. I hope it helped, especially for beginners. I don't really think that a lot of experienced players will get crazy amounts of information about this, but even if you have just received a little help, give it a thumbs up, put down something in the comments below to help me with the algorithm and continue to grow my channel. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, consider to subscribe. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything, not a euro, not a yen, not a dollar at all, and you will get all the new videos out there in time whenever I upload something. So you need to put on the notifications bell to not miss any of my videos in the future. So this was the video. I hope you guys have a great evening, and thanks for tuning in. Have a pleasant time, and bye bye.